What's up, Samurai? Today we're going to be doing a quick video summarizing the early access live stream that Wayfinder's finally just put out. So you can see it right on your screen. Early access is going to be August 15th. There is going to end up being a bunch of different founders packs that you can end up buying. They are in your localized currency, thank God. And we'll kind of go through those in a quicker fashion than the dev stream that was like an hour and a half. So right here, this is going to end up being the different packs. Again, they will be localized depending on, your local currency. As far as I know, there is not going to be a way that you guys can scam this. So just be careful not to try and use a VPN or whatever to buy a pack for cheaper, because ultimately it's probably going to end up screwing your file over. There is a heavy emphasis on monetization with this game. However, it is going to end up being free to play, but they did say in 2024. So we don't have a release date for the free to play version of the game other than next year. So that's pretty bad. That's 5-6 months of early access at the very least. You can kind of see right here, they do go through all of the different items you end up getting, with the rune silver being the in-game kind of premium currency. It's basically platinum from Warframe. I don't know whether or not there's going to be player trading in any way, shape, or form. They didn't really mention it, which I feel would be a huge shot in the foot towards the in-game community, because Warframe, one of the reasons why it's so successful is because you can trade the in-game currency, like the premium currency. You still have to buy the premium currency, but at least you can trade it with players, and free-to-play players can access all of this stuff. Now, they have confirmed that free-to-play is going to be able to access all of the content that paid players will be able to essentially get. But there's a little bit of a caveat, because a lot of the resources and materials you're gonna have to grind free to play in order to craft new weapons, new classes, what have you. And some of them, from my limited experience in the beta, there is a potential that some of these resources might be time gated if you're free to play. I can't 100% confirm that, because none of that was implemented during the beta test of the game. But one of the big things that they're going to end up having is this Founders Season. So this is going to end up being the Battle Pass, which, as far as I know, is a paid Battle Pass only. I think they do have like they do mention here that there is going to end up being a free Battle Pass for the Season 2. But the way that the Battle Pass is going to end up working in this game is similar to Halo Infinite. Once you own the Battle Pass, you own it forever. You just equip which Battle Pass you want to work on. So they do still have FOMO in the sense that you can only buy the Battle Pass during its specific season, but then once you own it forever, so you can take your time with it, be super lazy with it, right? And they kind of mention a little bit down here, this is going to end up being the tower rewards. So you'll basically be able to access to 25 items in the rewards tower. This is the free to play version. The paid battle pass will give you 100 tiers access, and then the premium is basically just going to buy pretty much most of the battle pass already, and give you 20 additional bonus reward tower keys so that you can get a head start. So you get 20 levels in the battle pass early, basically, right? The first battle pass is going to end up including this character. They did say that you will be able to get this character free to play, but technically speaking, that's not going to be the case right now, because the only way that you'll be able to play this game is through early access. And if we scroll up here, you can see a lot of the stuff that we're going to end up getting with these packs. So the cheapest pack is going to end up being $20. This game is going to be on PlayStation and Steam. It will require PS Plus during the early access phase. When it goes free to play next year, then it won't require PS Plus. That's got nothing to do with these guys. That's strictly Sony's business and how stupid they are with all their stuff. We can't pre-order these the early access founders packs. And we will not be able to pre-install the game, as far as I know, either. We're only going to be able to buy these the day of, which is August 15th at 12 Central Time. But anyways, this pack is going to end up including the first Battle Pass. You'll also be able to have access to the Season 2, so the next Battle Pass that's going to be available 3 months after. And then you'll get some rune silver, a founder's flag, and some glyph crap. Who cares? The next tier up is going to end up giving you a bunch of skins for weapons. It's also going to give you a free Wayfinder token. This is basically a class token, so you can get any class currently or in the future for free. Now, they have stressed that this token can be saved for many, many years to be able to end up buying a class later down the line. However, in my experience with games that have class tokens like this, usually they'll have certain classes, like it'll be like, oh, this character's not a Wayfinder anymore. In the lore, they're from another universe, so you have to have a new token in order to get them, right? Like, we've seen stuff like this in other freemium games, so we'll see what happens with that. But early on, at the very least, if you end up buying the $50 pack, you'll be able to get a character for free either immediately or later on. So we'll see what happens with that. Then there's going to end up being the $100 pack. So this is going to end up giving you a pet. The pet's only functionality when early access hits is going to be putting it down in your house. They mentioned that they want to have the pet come out with you on adventures later. I don't know if it's going to end up having any gameplay functionality, but it doesn't really matter too much. The mounts aren't even going to be playable, but you will be able to get this mount skin, whatever, cool, I don't know. They do mention that they are eventually this year going to end up having an area where the mounts will make more sense. Because in my experience during the beta, there was no point where I ever felt like I needed a mount in the game, because there was just a sheer amount of fast travel points that you could take at any point in time anyways. And then there's going to end up being some decoration items for your house. That's it. Otherwise, it's all the same stuff. You do get an extra class token though, whatever. I should also mention now that the Founder's Dyes is basically going to be able to apply these colored dyes to your character. So the character, no matter what, is always going to end up having their base set of armor. You'll be able to get some different variations of their armor through the cash shop, and then you can obviously recolor those based on the limited colors that you do have access to. And of course, all of these packs is going to give you more and more rune silver. And then finally, the $150 pack. Yes, that's right. $150 is basically going to be Prime Access from Warframe. You know, if you've ever played Warframe, you're going to notice some very, very similar, designs in how they monetize things. Just again, I'm unsure whether or not there's going to be player trading, but despite the fact that they constantly keep reiterating, oh, you can get everything free to play, you can't, because this is basically the prime version of the character Kairos, and it is exclusive to this pack. You can only get it from this specific Founders Pack, which, as far as I know, is going to be available for like 6 months. So they're trying to act like there's FOMO, but there isn't really. And then you'll be able to get this item, which with this handy account-based artifact, you'll be able to get more Battle Pass XP. They mentioned that it's only like 5% or maybe 10% or something like that. But basically, as far as I know, it'll end up applying to whatever battle pass you have equipped, not all of the battle pass, right? So just keep that in mind. But this is going to be the only way that you'll be able to get the heroic version of Kairos. The heroic version is basically going to have more mod slots. So very similar to Warframe, it's ultimately just going to end up being a more powerful version of the base Kairos character. As far as I know, it's got the same abilities, but generally speaking, it's just going to end up having a higher skill ceiling or stat ceiling, more specifically. He's also going to end up having the Ascendant Style Set and Exalted Die Pack. So you'll end up having some various, cosmetics as well. But most of all, they mention right here. So Heroic Kairos will obtain not only a mythical or mystical new look, but mastery of his mystical powers with increased stats. So he's just going to end up having a stat increase in general. And then there's going to end up being these cosmetics, which I find quite funny that these are cosmetics for other characters that you most likely won't end up actually having access to, even if you end up buying this Exalted Pack, because you will end up getting 3 class tokens. So their incentive is, well, if you spend your tokens on all these characters, then you can actually access these cosmetics for these characters. But again, you could just save the tokens and ultimately end up using them when there's characters that you actually want to end up getting or seem cooler down the line. Otherwise, you will be able to grind these classes free to play. Lastly, I do want to mention that the game is a lot of fun. In the limited amount of time that I did end up playing the closed beta, they had an NDA in place, so I wasn't allowed to record or stream or talk about it or anything like that. But now that we've kind of got a little bit more to show about the game, to talk about the game, I can say safely that if you like Warframe, you're probably going to really like this game. It's very, very similar in its structure, but in my opinion, it has better combat because the combat is basically Dark Souls combat. So you have roles within vulnerability frames or iframes, and all of the characters has their own strengths and weaknesses. The way that the characters and weapons work is independent of one another. So even though this chick has a gun as her base weapon, you could actually swap any weapon onto her that you want. So the character is going to have 4 different class abilities, and then the weapon is going to end up having its own gameplay as well as some unique skills to the weapon as well. Now, they do end up mentioning in their live stream, oh, we have like 16 weapons available when early access reaches. That's a little bit of a fib. You know, their marketing team is really good at exaggerating the numbers. Basically, they have, I think they're going to end up having like 4, maybe 5 baseline weapons. And then the 16 or whatever that they mention is just going to end up being variations of those weapons. So, you know, you could end up having the normal daggers for the knife wielding character, or you could end up having the ice daggers or the fire daggers or the sword and shield or the fire sword and shield, right? Like that's where they say, oh, well, there's technically a lot of these weapons. All of those weapons are going to end up being free to play accessible, even though you obviously have to buy your way into early access right now. So I hope that this ended up being a useful video for you guys. I wanted to just be very transparent and very clear and to the point and concise as possible. Thanks for watching.